All right, what's up, y'all? Back here with another video for you. Today we are getting to the second last part of my metal CD collection. None of this is really metal. It's punk and hardcore, but I feel as if this is a metal adjacent genre. So it is filed in my metal section just separately in this tail end section here. So this is going to be the last part of the normal collections, and then the last one is going to be box sets and odd-shaped CD cases. Yeah, so in the background, we're listening to the self-titled album by Revocation. I am not like a die-hard Revocation guy by any means. One of my homies was a huge Revocation fan, and when he stopped listening to metal, I bought a lot of his collection because I've always liked this band in passing, but there are a few times where I ever want to listen to them on my own. And I've seen them live on several occasions, and they're cool. I have a couple t-shirts just from, you see a band live, you're impressed, you buy the shirt. I like them. I know some songs here and there. I mostly know Great Is Our Sin and Deathless, so hearing this one's really nice in the background. It's nice, kind of like techy death thrash, which is, it's cool. This band is tasteful with their tech, I think, which is cool. No beer, because it is 11 o'clock in the morning, though it is Saturday. I have things to do. Yeah. And we're going to just friggin' get into it, dude. I don't have a lot of stuff in this genre that is impressive by any means, and you're really going to see how unknowledgeable I actually am when it comes to anything punk and hardcore, because it's really not my style. So I have Everything Went Black by Black Flag. This is a compilation of miscellaneous things from 1978 to 1981. It's all previously unreleased recordings. So this is like a really snot-nosed rock, punk rock kind of deal. The tail end of it starts getting a little bit more on the hardcore side, stuff that's going to be a lot more aggressive, which is a lot more my speed when it comes to Black Flag. The earlier material it's fun. It's got like a Gigi and the Jabbers feel to it. It's kind of like poppy to an extent, but it's really just like a snarling teenager style of punk, and it's cool. I do like it. I just tend to prefer the hardcore side of it a little bit more, and that's all the Black Flag I own. I just haven't bought them because it's really not a priority for me. This is Under Attack by the Casualties. This is really cool. I like this band quite a bit. I got into this band when I was younger, probably in high school, and then I just never bought anything for a long time until I saw this in a used bin, and I was like, I should probably get something. This band is a really sleek, clean production, at least in this era. I've never really listened to their early material, but they're a great kind of cross-punk band. They have some really metallic tendencies to them, which I find to be pretty cool. I don't know a ton of these songs. Social Outcast, maybe, or On City Streets. It's a really decent record in its own right. It's just, it's some cross-punk, man, some metallic cross-punk. All right, this is a really cool record. This is Bad Music for Bad People by The Cramps. So this is more of like a band that would kind of come to be a lot more of like punk adjacent and rockabilly adjacent, as opposed to being a proper punk rock band. But they do have a lot of the feel and a bit of the attitude and some of the horror side to them. They really ride hard on that rockabilly side of things, like the Hellbilly thing that Hank 3 does, if you guys are familiar with Hank 3. If you're not, you're missing out, because some of his stuff is really, really good. I'm a big fan. Really great, kind of, I don't know, man. It just really sounds like, if you guys ever hear Unknown Henson, the guy who does Early Collar's voice in the Squidbillies, it kind of reminds me of his music a little bit, but just like a bit of 13th Floor Elevators, kind of 60s psych influence. It's an interesting listen. If you want something kind of weird, check out The Cramps. This is a great record. Next, I got a couple from the Dead Kennedys. I used to have more, but I've gotten rid of them. Give Me Convenience or Give Me Death. Pretty good album. I enjoy a good amount of these tunes on here. Police Truck is great. I mean, everybody knows California Uber Alice. And Holiday in Cambodia. I Fought the Law and I Won. That's another one everybody knows. Some really decent songs on here, man. Nothing too crazy. Joey Biafra is a very entertaining vocalist. The album cover is wild. And, you know, it's a classic Dead Kennedys record, man. A bit more of the hardcore scene in the 80s. And then I have Fresh Fruit for Rotten Vegetables, which I would probably say I like a little bit more than that one. But yeah, I've like Kill the Poors on here. They also do California Uber Alles on here. I really, really like the song Chemical Warfare. Stealing People's Mail is something I just randomly just start singing in a day. It's a great record, man. Then I have some Discharge with Never Again. I'm not 100% sure as to where this lies in the chronology of this band's catalog, or if this is a comp or an album. I think it's a full-length album, but don't quote me on that. Again, like I said, you're really going to see how little I know about the genre here. It's good, kind of crustish punk, kind of in that vein, a little bit more on the aggressive, somewhat metal side of things, kind of like a Oonga Boonga Caveman, kind of hardcore. I don't know. This is a terrible video. I'm so sorry. I got a couple from the Dropkick Murphys, which is like a folk punk band. I'm just going to talk about them collectively. I have Do or Die, Sing Loud, Sing Proud, and Going Out in Style. So this is like an American folk punk band with a lot of the Celtic influence. You guys know that from the they go Shipping Up the Boston song. That song's kind of obnoxious, but their other stuff is really cool. They're aggressive in a really good way. They do a lot of traditional Irish music, which I'm a big fan of, really traditional Irish folk. That's a style I know quite well, at least in the like contemporary sense, as in like the Dubliners and the Clancy Brothers and things of that nature. And they do a lot of those kind of songs because those guys are just kind of bringing back the traditional drinking songs of the Irish heritage. And they do quite a bit of those with a punk tinge, and then they have a lot of their own music. You know, there's bagpipes, there's a tenor, banjo, this, that, and the other, electric guitars, drum kit, all of your punk ensemble plus some folk instrumentation. It's a good enough band. They're fun. My wife likes them quite a bit. I don't like them quite as much as some of the other folk punk stuff. Then I have a comp from The Exploited, which is just the singles. Just random one-off Exploited material. Not something I know a ton about. I do like some of the Exploited stuff. I haven't picked up any of their full lengths yet because, again, low priority as far as I'm concerned. I would much rather get a million other things than buy punk albums. Though GBH is a band that I would probably scoop up if I saw it, even though I'd recently left one. Whatever, shut up. I'm stupid. Don't listen to me. Yeah, just a comp from The Exploited, a bit of the heavier side. They got kind of gothy and weird a little bit later in their catalog, but I don't remember any of that being on the singles, at least in the front end of it. I don't know if I've actually made it through the whole thing. Flogging Molly, another folk punk band I'm a pretty decent sized fan of. I got a couple from them, so I'll just talk about them all collectively. So Drunken Lullabies, Float, Within a Mile of Home, and Speed of Darkness. So I have a good handful from this band, and they're great. They're a little bit lighter of a folk punk band. There's a lot of more like hardcore influence than Dropkick Murphys, with the screamed vocals and the really more aggressive punk style. This band is a lot more like a fun version of folk punk, a little bit more of a party atmosphere, and I don't remember which one it is. Oh, it's this one. This album is an acoustic album, which is cool. Playing a lot of their songs in an acoustic way. It lends well. They still have a bit of the attitude to them, but the traditional folk thing is a big thing for me. I'm a big fan of that. Yeah, all in all, a really great band. Just a little bit on the lighter side of folk punk, but yeah, I like them actually quite a bit more than Dropkick Murphys. Excuse me. So, G.G. Allin, Rock and Roll Terrorist. This is like the iconic compilation from G.G. Allin. And my buddy gave this to me and he did not have the back of it, so it's just a print-off version of that. Yeah, this is just like the nastiest, most despicable human being in history, or one of them as far as music goes. Yeah, he is just a man full of bad habits and a terrible attitude on life. He is the epitome of a nihilistic hedonist, I would say. Just an absolute nut job who writes some really nasty, disgusting stuff. I used to listen to a ton of this when I was in high school. Not really something that piques my interest these days. Yeah, just not my thing anymore. Anyhow, I got a bunch from another folk punk band called the Langer's Ball. So I have a bunch. So I saw them at our local Renaissance fair. They were touring with the Ren Fair. And I just like was blown away. I was super into it. They have like a steampunk style to them and a really traditional Celtic style to them. I'm a big fan of the Celtic folk punk. So The Devil of the Barrel, then Hard Time in the Country, then Appetite for Tradition, 7 Year Itch, and then Whiskey Outlaws. I have almost all of them. I think they put out new stuff. They were actually at the Renaissance Fair again this year, which is funny because that picture is from the Renaissance Fair in Bristol, Wisconsin, which is one of the big ones. It's one of the traveling ones. It's a good time. Go to it if you're ever in Wisconsin. It's a great nerd fest. Let me tell you, it is a good time. I had a Blind Guardian t-shirt on and I got so many friggin' compliments on that. It was hilarious. But yeah, this is a fun band. They kind of are somewhat Celtic in a certain way. This in particular is mostly like tin whistle and string instrument accompaniment. It's very traditional. Yeah, it's just the guitar and like tin whistle. It's all like fiddle tunes and stuff like that. Really cool stuff. Yeah, they do a lot of jigs and a lot of reels and stuff like that, and a little bit of polka here and there. It's an interesting enough collection of traditional music. And then yeah, all the other stuff is just kind of like regular folk punk, a little bit more on the folky side. It's more of like acoustic instruments played like it's folk. Next is something I've had for a long time, which is Ball of Destruction by Madball. I don't know a lot about this band. I really don't listen to this. I've heard some shady business about this band. I don't really know. But I picked it up at a garage sale several years ago, which is kind of a funny thing to just find at a garage sale. I didn't know what it was at the time. It's really angry, and I don't know if I've listened to it much since. So I'm not going to talk too much about stuff I don't know. Minor Threat Complete Discography is a must-have in any respectable punk collection. Everybody loves this stuff. I get in moods for punk, and usually this is one of the first bands I go to. Just a great all-around traditional hardcore band. Really aggressive, really angry. You know, you guys know what Minor Threat sounds like. I mean, come on. Then I got a bunch from the Misfits. I don't have everything just because like I know the material, the classic material being the Danzig era, and I know most of the Graves era well enough to where I just like don't prioritize buying it, just because I've heard it all so many times. It's unreal. Back when I didn't have a big collection and stuff like that, and I would just listen to stuff online. Legacy of Brutality is one of the classic of that Danzig era. Really great stuff. I mean, I don't even know what my favorite songs on here would be because it's like impossible to figure. Halloween is a great song. Spinal Remains, Static Age, TV Casualties, Where Eagles Dare. Just it's a amazing punk record. Then the album Static Age, which actually is first as far as I understand, and the chronology. The Misfits chronology kind of screws with my head a little bit. Really good record, man. Everybody, this is a lot of stuff that's also on that album, but some other stuff on here that's really good. I really like Hollywood Babylon, Teenagers from Mars, Theme for a Jackhole, Last Caress. She, really good stuff. Then I have Walk Among Us. Weird kind of version of it, but you know, it's another chock full of catchy punk songs. Mommy, Can I Go Out and Kill the Night is a song that like my old band used to try and mess around with a little bit. I Turned Into a Martian is great. Skulls, Astro Zombies, Brain Eaters is kind of a not as amazing song, I don't think. I don't love Brain Eaters as much. I think it's kind of a weak end to this album, but nonetheless, it's perfect. I don't have Wolf's Blood, just because like I haven't really found a copy that's not like $18, and I'm not paying $18 for an album of songs I already pretty much know by heart. So I'm at that point. Then I got a handful from the Graves era. So this is American Psycho. Nothing everybody doesn't know, I'm sure. A lot of people don't like this Graves era. I do. I find it to be catchy and fun and a bit more metallic, I would say, especially because a lot of this material came from some of the material that was on the Christ the Conqueror releases, which is the band Doyle and Jerry started after the Misfits broke up. It's like a speed metal band-ish, kind of a speedy, somewhat punk, kind of rockish band. It's really, really good. This is great. Tons of great songs on here. I mean, the title track is great. So is, man, Walk Among Us is great on here. Dig Up Her Bones is like the hit off of here. Crimson Ghost is a good tune. Mars Attack, I really like Don't Open Till Doomsday. It's really like anthemic, sing-along kind of punk, you know. And then Famous Monsters, which is a classic as well. This took a long time for me to actually pick up a copy of, just because it's kind of expensive and not the easiest thing in the world to get a hold of. It's a great record. I've always loved this album cover. I think it's a really cool, hokey, kind of airbrush drawing of all these fellas. But yeah, this is, I don't know if I like this or American Psycho more. I probably like this one a little bit more. Stuff like Saturday Night is like a catchy tune. Lost in Space, Dust to Dust, The Forbidden Zone, Scarecrow Man, Descending Angel, you know, Helena. Everybody knows this, come on. And then the only like Jerry era of Misfits that I own is Project 1950, which I'm actually a really big fan of. This is them doing like a cover album of like doo-wop songs and traditional 50s stuff. These guys are from Bergen County, New Jersey. And my wife's family is also from Bergen County, New Jersey. And these guys are about the same age as my in-laws, which are like, especially my father-in-law is a big fan of like malt shop oldies kind of stuff. So a ton of this music is stuff my wife already knows, and hearing it in this context is a lot of fun. I knew a ton of these songs because of my enjoyment of that style. Developed kind of out of this, I should say. I've heard a lot of these songs and then I wound up listening to other stuff because of it. Like I knew stuff like Witchcraft because of Frank Sinatra and The Devil in Disguise by Elvis, and then like Monster Mash is the Monster Mash. But other stuff on here is really, really cool. Like I really like their version of This Magic Moment. All that kind of stuff is really, really cool. This is a really well put together kind of 50s cover album. Jerry is not that bad of a singer. Don't let people tell you it's as bad as they think it is. Then I have a handful from the Ramones. I have the self-titled Ramones record, which is a must-own in every respectable punk collection. Obviously, one of the most iconic bands in the genre. Judy is a Punk, you know, dude, all these songs are just absolutely perfect albums. Or this is an absolute perfect album every step of the way. I don't need to talk about the Ramones. It's like making a video talking about Sabbath. Road to Ruin, I'm missing some of the classic era stuff, but just great stuff, dude. Like Needles and Pins is a song I'm a really big fan of. I Want to Be Sedated is like another one of their big hits. You know, just great stuff. Then I have some of the later Ramones as well, which is End of the Century. Decent stuff, again, not amazing. I really like the song Baby I Love You because it is a sappy doo-wop song. I do like that style quite a bit. But this album in itself is not the greatest as far as the Ramones discography is concerned. Then I have Mondo Bizarro, which is kind of a weird one. They kind of got goofy sounding in their later era. But yeah, I don't know a ton of this stuff on here. I mean, there's some cool tunes here and there, but I can't talk too much about it just because of lack of familiarity. Then I have Mania by the Ramones, which is just like a big 30 track comp. So I bought this at a shop when I was like a teenager, when I was first kind of getting into this kind of stuff. And I remember being at the checkout line, checking it out, and the owner of the shop's son being like, "You're selling my CD." So I apparently bought a child's CD, and I feel bad about it now. But I'm at the point where he's an older kid and he's in high school and all that, so I don't have too much to be worried about. I'm sure another copy of the Ramones has come into his hands by now, but this is kind of a goofy story associated with this comp. It's good stuff spanning most of their catalog. Then this is some pop punk, which is not something I generally like, but for whatever reason, this in particular project is really, really cool in my mind. They're like 3 crappy little slip sleeve things. Hang on, I'm trying to get it out of here. There we are. So, How's Life Without Me by Safe Bet, and then there is What's Left of This and Joy Find Me. So, this is 3 EPs from this pop punk, acoustic pop punk band that is mostly just one dude named Ruben. He's from Indiana and played a lot around the Chicago area. And I heard about him from some, like, a guy that I was following who was in a different band playing one of their songs. I think, yeah, it's the song January on this one. And I was really, really floored about it. They're all signed by Ruben, which is cool. But there's something so earnest about it, you know. This is like it's a real heartbreak of a set of EPs, right? So this is like an absolute, like, gut-wrenching kind of acoustic album of just like the story of a heartbroken guy, you know, a guy who got dumped out of a long-term relationship or something like that. Like 20 Months is great here. I Miss is cool. The instrumentals are really cool and tasteful. They're really hyper melodic. And it's really interesting multi-layer guitar stuff that he does on here. January is kind of like a sing-along song for me. Really, really great. Irrelevant. And then this one is like the EP of him like kind of coming to terms with the heartbreak of it all, and, you know, not being so much in despair as he was in that last one. He's like, it feels like a realization of what's going on in his life, which I really enjoy, like the earnest nature of it. And then this one, Joy Find Me, this is like an angry addition to it. There's like harsh vocals on here, they screaming on top of like the pop punk style, and it's just kind of like a bit more of an aggressive take on the style. It's more of like an anger, you know. He's like livid about his situation, and he's sick of dealing with all of the pain and heartbreak, and I like that a lot. And then after these 3 EPs, he got a band, and which rendered it not good for me, because I don't really like pop punk generally, let alone like traditional, regular Stink-180 kind of garbage. But these 3 EPs are actually really good acoustic pop punk. Then, Nevermind the Bollocks, here's the Sex Pistols. One of the most classic records in punk history. Come On. Songs like Liar and No Feelings and Bodies, Holiday in the Sun, Anarchy in the UK. There's nothing you don't know about this album, because it's a classic, must-own punk rock record. Then a couple from like the proto-punk section, which is going to be Iggy and the Stooges, so the self-titled and Raw Power. Definitely like the building blocks of punk, firmly based in like 60s psych rock. I recently talked about these. I picked these up from the same guy I actually bought the Revocation CDs from. He was selling these too, not his style anymore. Whatever. I'm glad to have them. I don't listen to it very much, but I do like it. I like some of the songs, like I Want to Be Your Dog is like a hit from this band. But yeah, it's Iggy and the Stooges, man. And then the last punk CD is the Vladimirs, The Late Hours. This is an HHR band put out, I don't know, a few years ago. But this band is like almost a Misfits worship with a little bit more of a metallic edge to them. It's kind of like if the instrumentation of the Graves era met the attitude and the style of the original Danzig era. It's a really good record, man. I don't listen to a ton of it because if I want to hear the Misfits, I usually just gonna listen to the Misfits. But yeah, it's a great record of like metallic-y early Misfits worship. Then I have just a couple of comps tossed here on the end. HHR comp, whatever, 10. Yeah, compilation 10. Then I have this Megadeth Extra Value CD thing, which is like Megadeth, Typo, Biohazard, Machine Head, Chevelle, just a bunch of crap I don't really care about, but I do have it. And then I have a comp from this label Antique, just like a bunch of French black metal I got when I bought some Vehemence stuff from back in the, I don't know, a couple years ago. So that's going to be it for this section, guys. We got one more and then I'm done. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll catch you guys later. Keep it greasy.